You know that feeling. You're just
Yeah.
swimming in tasks all day. Your inbox is a disaster zone, phone's buzzing constantly. And then at the end of the day, you sort of stop and think, okay, what did I actually get done? Like, did any of that frantic activity really move the needle? Did I make anything, valuable? If that sounds like your life sometimes, well, you're definitely not alone. It seems like the modern condition, right? And honestly, it can be exhausting. But what if there's a better way? A way to cut through all that noise, to actually change how we work and maybe even how we live? Well, today, that's what we're diving into, a concept called deep work. We're digging into it based on Cal Newport's really influential book, Deep Work, Focused Success in a Distraction-Filled World. In Newport, he really makes you question, our basic ideas about productivity in this digital age we're all in. It can be pretty overwhelming. So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to unpack what deep work is exactly, understand why it's apparently so valuable now, and maybe, surprisingly, why it's so rare. And then the really practical part.
Explore the strategies, the rules from the book that you can use to start building this skill yourself. The idea is to help you shift, from just being busy to being genuinely impactful. Because the book really highlights this key difference, doesn't it? Are you just occupied, filling time? Or are you creating real value? We'll see how mastering focus isn't just a nice skill. It's something that can really make you stand out. Okay, so let's break it down right from the top. What is deep work? Newport defines it as focused, distraction-free work that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit. And the key thing here, I think, is not just working hard. We all feel like we work hard, right? This is about working intensely and, crucially, without interruption. Think about those tasks that really demand everything you've got mentally. We'll give some good examples, like a novelist totally lost in building their story. Or a coder battling a really complex problem where one tiny break in concentration means you lose the thread.
Right.
Or maybe a strategist developing a whole new business plan, needing deep analysis and, vision. These aren't just hard things. They need that sustained, full-on brain power.
Exactly. And that contrast, pushing your cognitive limits, it becomes super clear when you look at the other side of the coin, what Newport calls shallow work. And this isn't like just being lazy. It's activity that's usually pretty easy. It doesn't create much value. And here's the key bit. It's often done with distractions all around. Think about, hitting refresh on your email constantly, or mindlessly scrolling through social media, or even just doing routine admin stuff that doesn't really make you think hard. What's interesting, I think, is the difference really lies in the cognitive effort needed and the value you get out. Shallow work keeps you busy, sure.
Yeah, feels productive sometimes.
Right, but deep work is what actually produces something significant. It moves the needle, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the output from deep work is where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
That's where you genuinely learn new things, where creativity sparks, where you actually produce high-quality stuff. Shallow work, well, it fills the hours, it might tick boxes, but it rarely leads to those big insights or breakthroughs. It consumes time without giving much back in terms of real value.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, and maybe a bit counterintuitive too. If deep work is so great, why is it supposedly so valuable, especially now in this fast-paced digital economy? Newport's argument is pretty compelling. He says people who can focus deeply, they just learn complex things faster. And because they learn faster, they produce more and better quality stuff. It's almost like a cognitive superpower these days.
It really is.
This focus lets you master skills others struggle with. It means your work is higher quality. And maybe just as important, you can do it more efficiently. At the end of the day, that's what gives you an edge, right? Doesn't matter what field you're in.
Precisely.
In a world drowning in noise, being able to concentrate deeply, that's a huge differentiator.
And that leads straight into the paradox, doesn't it? If it's so valuable, why is it so rare?
Exactly.
Well, Newport nails the reason. Modern life is it's designed for interruption. Think about it. Social media pings, emails flooding in, app notifications, calls, texts.
It's constant.
It is constant. Our attention is basically under siege, like 247. And what's really fascinating, maybe even a bit worrying, is how most of us react. Instead of, actively defending our focus, carving out that deep work time.
We just react.
We spend our days bouncing between things, responding to whatever pops up. Living in this state of sort of partial attention, always switching contexts, rarely giving sustained, unbroken focus to anything really challenging.
Yeah.
And this habit, this fragmentation of attention, it makes deep work really uncommon. which, ironically, makes it even more powerful if you can cultivate it. It's about being proactive with your mind, not just letting it get pulled everywhere.
Okay, so if our attention is under siege, like you said, how do we fight back? That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
The good news is Newport doesn't just diagnose the problem. He gives us practical steps, these rules of deep work. Think of them as like blueprints for reclaiming your focus, things you can actually start doing. So let's get into rule number 1. Work deeply. Seems obvious, maybe call it.
Yep.
But it's about training your brain. The advice is to create rituals. What does that mean in practice? What do these rituals look like?
Right, it sounds simple, but the power of these rituals, as Newport lays them out, is that they're more than just finding a quiet spot. They act as a really strong signal to your brain. It's almost like classical conditioning.
Good.
You have a specific place, maybe a certain desk, a fixed time block, and very clear rules for that block. For instance, during this time, phone's off, or it's in another room entirely. You're at your quiet desk, you stick to the scheduled hours.
No exceptions.
Pretty much. These rituals become cues. They tell your brain, okay, focus time now. Everything else has to wait. It helps you switch gears mentally much more effectively.
That makes a lot of sense. Training the brain like a muscle. Okay, rule number 2 is, well, it feels very counterintuitive today. Embrace boredom. We're all programmed to grab our phones the second things get quiet. What's Newport getting at here?
Huh. Yeah, it definitely pushes back against that impulse, doesn't it? He literally says, don't always reach for your phone when bored. But the purpose behind it is really important. It's about practicing being okay without constant stimulation. Think of it like building up your focus endurance. If you're constantly feeding your brain little hits of novelty, instant gratification.
Like scrolling.
Exactly. You actually weaken its ability to stay focused when you need it for something important. By just sitting with boredom sometimes, you're strengthening that attention muscle. It's like resistance training for your brain's focus ability.
A mental workout for attention span. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, rule 3. Newport's pretty direct here. Quit social media. Now, for a lot of people listening, that probably sounds drastic, maybe impossible. How does he frame this? Especially if you use these platforms for work or, genuine connection.
He is quite blunt about it, yeah. He basically says it steals focus, but the practical advice isn't necessarily go live in a cave. It's more about being intentional. He suggests you evaluate ruthlessly. Don't use every platform, only keep those that truly add value to your goals. So the idea is to ask yourself, does this platform significantly help my professional life, my important personal goals? If the answer is meh, or not really, then the constant attention theft, the mental switching, probably outweighs the benefit. It's about choosing your tools strategically, not just defaulting to using everything that's available.
So strategic evaluation, not necessarily a total ban. That feels more manageable. Okay, rule number 4, drain the shallows. This sounds like fighting back against all that low-value stuff that fills our days. How do we actually do that?
Yeah, this one's about getting aggressive with limiting shallow work. The endless email checking, the meetings that could have been emails, the admin tasks that just seem to multiply.
Oh.
Newport's big recommendation here is to schedule every minute of your day, or at least be much more structured. The key is to proactively block out time for your deep tasks first.
So you prioritize the deep stuff.
Exactly. He gave an example, like, instead of just letting 5 hours disappear into reacting to emails and random things, you might schedule 2 solid hours for deep work. Then maybe schedule 2 hours specifically for handling emails and shallow tasks. And perhaps leave a buffer hour.
Structured.
It's a fundamental shift, really, from being reactive to actively designing your time, protecting that limited cognitive bandwidth you have each day.
Connecting these 4 rules, it feels like they're not just time management hacks.
Not at all.
They're about fundamentally changing your environment, your habits, really protecting your ability to think deeply.
That's exactly it. It's about restructuring things to cultivate your most valuable asset, which is your attention, your cognitive capacity. It's a strategy for taking back control from the constant external demands and designing a work life that supports high-value creation, a blueprint for focus.
So the big question for everyone listening is probably, okay, this sounds good, but how does it fit my life? And the really helpful thing is the book recognizes that, one approach isn't going to work for everyone. Newport actually outlines several different deep work strategies, depending on your lifestyle, your job.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to become a hermit to do this. It's about finding your rhythm. So briefly, there's the monastic approach. That's pretty extreme.
basically cutting off almost all shallow distractions. Think writers in cabins, academics.
Total immersion.
Yeah. Then there's the bimodal approach. This is where you might dedicate specific chunks of time, like entire days or even weeks, solely to deep work, and then other times you're more available for meetings, emails, etc.
So you alternate modes.
Right. Then, maybe more practical for many, the rhythmic approach. This is about making deep work a regular, consistent habit. Like, say, blocking out 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every single morning for your most demanding task. Treat it like exercise.
Building it into the daily routine.
Exactly. And finally, the journalistic approach. This is for people with really unpredictable schedules. You have to get good at switching into deep work mode whenever you find a pocket of free time, maybe between appointments or calls, like a journalist on deadline.
Grabbing opportunities when they arise. And this variety, I think it raises a really crucial point for you, the listener. Which of these feels most achievable, most sustainable, given your specific situation? The real encouragement here is to experiment. Try one approach for a week, see how it feels, maybe adapt it.
Find your own flavor.
Exactly. The core message isn't rigid adherence to one method. It's about intentionality. It's about finding your way to integrate deep work, adapting the principles to your reality, designing your own focused path.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly pull together those core, really powerful ideas from Cal Newport's deep work. Remember that stark contrast. Shallow work keeps you busy. Deep work makes you valuable. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
It really does. Simple but profound.
And the book makes such a strong case that real success in pretty much any field today isn't just about effort. It comes from combining that ability to focus without distraction, with the discipline to apply that focus to meaningful work, work that actually matters. That combination is key.
The synergy is what creates exceptional results.
And because deep work is both rare plus valuable, getting good at it isn't just about productivity. It's a direct way to stand out, to really differentiate yourself and what you contribute in a world that's just getting noisier and more crowded.
It's a competitive advantage, fundamental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So understanding this stuff, starting to apply it, it's a powerful way to feel less overloaded, more effective, and maybe find more of those aha moments. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on today. In this world that's constantly grabbing for your attention, what's one small thing, one concrete step you could take today? Something to start building that focus muscle. Maybe carve out just 30 minutes for one truly deep task. What might that look like for you starting now?